Delicious recipe here on UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans Talk Radio. You're listening to the delicious recipe here with the Dell, and I have tonight there again there at this beach picnic. My other one, Lore.
Your other one. I hope I'm your only one.
Yeah, there you go. So tell me a little bit. I'm just getting set up here because I'm running a little bit late. I'm just switching machines there. So tell them all about yourself there, Laura.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the delicious recipe. I am Dell's real partner in life, unless he has another one I don't know about. Anyways, I'm the host of the Angel Rock, which airs live on Monday nights right here on United Public Radio Network from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you get a chance, check out the interview I did last night with Dr. Rima Labo. That was explosive. Also, I will give you a little hint. I have a new show that will be coming up towards the end of the month on Saturdays, completely different. I believe my partner in crime with me here will be joining me. We've got some great ideas we're coming up with, something a little different that don't really have a lot of on the network, but seems to be very popular these days. So watch for that. Um,
Yes. And we'll actually get into that too, is because if anybody is in the chat room, and we're on UFO Paranormal Radio on the YouTube thing there, and that's where we see most of the chats because we are on doing StreamYard, right? Correct?
yeah.
And we're looking for a name. We're looking at like a Dolores something or
Well, actually,
something,
Joe has
whatever.
an idea. He wants to call it Out of the Cage. And the reason why is because Joe, who we'll give a shout out to, our producer and owner of UPRN, he also has many great shows on the network himself. He has started this joke that Canadian women, and we are from Canada, we're from Thunder Bay, Ontario, that even though we're broadcasting out of New Orleans, Louisiana, he jokes that Canadian women put all of their men in cages and that we make them behave, let's just say, through physical force as a joke. That doesn't happen.
Right.
So we've kind of made a joke always when we have host chats. Dell and I are usually there, that I let Dell out of the cage. So this is kind of the thought that Joe had. So we'll see. But yeah, unless somebody's got a different name, but I kind of like that name, Out of the Cage.
Okay,
So
I'm still slowly setting up here, and sorry about that, there, folks. If you're watching live, there, that I'm all discombobulated all over the place because I've heard a complaint about me moving around too much. But
well, let's talk. Let's address that other complaint while you're getting
yes,
ready.
well, that's the whole thing here. Okay, this is one thing there, and this actually, we how did this end up? Something happened there yesterday on the show, and it was
No, I have a brew.
okay.
Let's
Well, no,
start
let me
it.
just finish the first. Let me set this up, and then you can go on to your part there, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get a text message because I'm working nights right now, and from about 11:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a text message when I see my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning that somebody had a female had called or not or messaged the station to our producer and noticed a bruise on Laura's arm and thought all of a sudden she jumped all the way to spousal abuse, domestic abuse, and wanted information on it. And then all of a sudden, like thinking about like what's going on
No, let me
here.
back you up there. What had happened was I always talk to Joe Montalto, our owner, after the show, and somebody messaged Joe during my show and said that they had noticed the bruise on my arm, which I was going to address either in the host chat or my show, but I didn't get a lot of a chance to speak last night, and for good reason. I had a very interesting guest who had a lot to share, and there were quite a few people on the paranormal panel. So then they were really worried and they wanted to actually call into my show to ask me, and they knew Dell by name. They wanted to make sure Dell wasn't beating me. And then Joe assured them that no, he wasn't, that he knew Dell quite well, knows me quite well. No, that wasn't the case. They made Joe promise that he would ask me after the show. So indeed, we did talk about it, and I will tell you exactly what happened. And then I'm going to put a little bit of reverse psychology on you people here, is the fact that I have a very bad back. That's why I'm not able to physically work as a nurse anymore. I hurt my back on the job. I still have my license, still keep on top of nursing stuff, but I walk with a cane when I'm out in public, not around the house, and I have a raised toilet seat. I wasn't even going to the bathroom, even though that's TMI, but our bathroom's very small, and I don't sleep a lot. I'm a chronic pain sufferer. I was sitting on the raised toilet seat in the bathroom. I fell asleep, and what happened as I leaned forward, the toilet seat tipped, and I fell into the vanity corner of our vanity of our sink. I knew I was going to have a bruise there, and I was going to address it. But I think this opens an interesting conversation with the fact that people jump to conclusions that there must be domestic violence. Because I'm going to put this to you people, unless I was putting out a cry for help, and you would have seen many, many more bruises, I'm sure. Don't you think that I wouldn't have worn a sleeveless shirt, or I would have covered it up with makeup if this was something that was going on behind closed doors? It's not. I appreciate your concern, but Dell has never laid a finger on me, nor have I ever been with a partner that has raised their hand to me, nor would I tolerate something like that. Go ahead, Dell. Sorry.
Yeah, so the thing that sort of got this sort of interesting because I went through an interesting scenario beforehand that led my life down a different path there, and it dealt with somebody else hearing something and making a call to police, which actually ended up costing a lot of money afterwards for something that was unfounded. And
It
it's
never happened.
yeah, and it screwed up my college years, and it screwed up a lot of things there. And just even besides the whole thing, I was taking environmental engineering at the time, and had to go through all this lawyer stuff and everything like that. And it was all because in Canada and Ontario, and I think in the rest of Canada, is that when it comes to domestic abuse or domestic anything, you're automatically guilty. You have to prove your innocence. So there is nothing that you can do. It's not anything that's you're gone. So it was a very troubling time for me that I went through. And then when this happened there, and I get this text message at 2 o'clock in the morning on my break about somebody calling in there saying that she jumped from didn't even know the situation, doesn't even know the medical history of either of us, doesn't even know us personally, but jumped to a conclusion of domestic abuse.
Mhm.
That's a really scary thing that actually sort of happened there. And all of a sudden, the whole night of work there, I'm going flashes of this whole thing going through again. Like I'm gonna have to go through this all. I'm like, I understand. Give your head a shake there, people. And like, I'd really like to talk to this person. She wants to contact me personally. Contact me, thedeliciousstories.com. Maybe there's something that maybe you need in your life there that maybe that's why there's maybe you need some sort of help maybe or something like that. Maybe you've gone through something traumatic and that's why you jump to these conclusions, because this is not the way society's supposed to live. And this is not the way something goes, that somebody just sort of sees something and then they call out an offense. And that's just sort of really put me off. And that's sort of a way that sort of it doesn't come out to this beach party that we're going to have there today. And that's why I sort of tried to make it a beach party to make us sort of happy in there. But it was sort of really distressing to me. And then I'm sitting at work and going, holy jumping, like, what's going on? And this wasn't somebody that I even know. And it could have been somebody from somebody else.
No, but the thing is, I think it opens a good conversation with the fact that I've been seeing more and more of this, that so many problems could be solved if we just sat down and had a quick conversation instead of jumping to conclusions. Or, and I appreciate that somebody felt they were concerned and what have you. But the thing is, I have to agree with you with the fact that jumping to a conclusion because I have a bruise on my arm. And again, I'm going to put it back on you guys. Unless I was putting a cry out for help or something, I'm not going to wear a sleeveless shirt, or I would cover it up with makeup as most people do when they're hiding what's going on behind closed doors. And that's not even what this was. And I'm very transparent. So is Dell. That's why we're talking about it. And I think it's an important conversation to have.
Right. And well, the other part there too is that we also have I have an autistic stepson, your son, that is well close to like the 280, 300-pound mark, and that he doesn't know his own strength. So it could have been something like that too.
Yep.
Or it could have been a bump. You could have got tripped over by the German Shepherd that we have. Everybody's all seen the German Shepherd around here. and that trips up people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing that really distressed me was that the person jumped to domestic abuse, that I had hurt you. And that's the thing that I find is in this cancel culture, in this SJW world, and these people that are out there, that they would go to that. I appreciate the part that you were concerned, but there's a path of information that you follow. You don't follow and go and call or text or message the head of the studio and then try and go back door around and try and find things out there. Like it's, I don't know, that maybe I come across here on this station that I'm a real mean guy, and that I that I do things like that. I don't know. Maybe we have to look that stuff. Maybe everybody's scared of long hair and my mom's pictures that she paints, and this little gnome that's there, and talk about the paranormal and the weird and the strange. I don't know.
I've known you my whole life. We are not cousins, but we are the second generation of his aunt and my uncle, because we have different last names, and that's what it is. So I've known him. His mother went to get her nursing degree when I was in nursing. Some of his first family members, or his family members, believe it or not, were at my first wedding.
Yeah.
So I've known him my whole life, and I appreciate people being concerned. But like I said, it opens an important dialogue that I think that we're really missing, regardless of what the topic is.
Mm-hmm.
Is if we just sat down and had a conversation instead of jumping to conclusions. I always say I hate text messaging, and people always complain that I voice message, but you know what? You never mistake what I am saying to you when you can hear the tone and the intonation of my voice when I'm leaving a message. Also, because things can be so misconstrued from text message or email, people jump to conclusions. I have seen so many fights happen and breakups, all kinds of things, when if they had just sat down and said to the other person, what exactly did you mean by this?
Yeah, that's true, right? And that's the whole thing. And that even gets into this whole part about people when you stop, like we talk about this all the time on my show there, about we throw things in the pot, information there, whether you like it or not, you see how it tastes at the end, ask questions about everything, which is good. And I do appreciate this person asking a question, but they went around it the wrong way, I think, anyways. And they should have asked it in a proper direction there. Maybe they thought they were doing something great, or I don't know, or maybe there's something that was troubling in their life that they went that direction, thinking they were going to be a Wonder Woman savior of something. I don't know, but it's just a weird sort of situation. But you ask questions, you research things, and you just don't jump to conclusions. That's the whole thing, right? Wouldn't you agree? You don't jump to conclusions on something, especially when it goes something so negatively bad. Like that's...
Well, it's very easy for a rumor to get started. Plus, even when there's the old adage of, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. So and like I said, I just had this conversation before this conversation came up. And Joe's an amazing guy. Like, he's supportive of all of us as network hosts and stuff. And I'm glad he brought it up. But I told him, I said, I know Del will be very upset about this. And the thing is, like I said, I had this conversation before this even happened with somebody, and it's with another organization I'm involved with, and people are resigning left, right, and center because they've taken a message the wrong way, or this and that. And I literally have been saying, guys, if we just sit down, take 2 minutes and ask somebody, have a face-to-face conversation, whether it's over the internet or a phone call, and say, what did you mean by this? 90% of the time, and I've been guilty of it too, like I just said, that's why I strongly dislike text messages and I strongly dislike emails when you're having a conversation about something serious in particular. We've got a message in the chat, so we forgot to address the chat. I want to say hello to Aaron's Pastries.
Oh yeah, good day, all. Hey there, Michael Pratt. Michelle Pratt. Sorry.
No, Michelle, she's one of our regulars. She's from Australia. So welcome, Michelle. She says, good day, y'all.
Good day. Put a shrimp on the bobby. That's
Yes.
the worst. That's the worst thing ever to say. I know. Hearing about that, dingo eat your baby.
Yes. No, Michelle's really awesome. She supports, she goes to a lot of the shows usually that I do, and has a lot of great questions and comments and really adds a lot to our show. So I appreciate you being here to support Dell. And Aaron, I hope we didn't miss you. I apologize. We kind of got off with Dell. Like I said, the iPad decided to be full. I don't know why, but it did. So Dell was a little bit, and my never mind. It must be, you think we are in Mercury retrograde or something. I have a brand new ring light. As I go to put my phone in it, that's why my phone's a little jiggly. It popped right off the tripod. Like, I'm going to have to bring it back. So I'm holding my phone.
Well, you know what you should do there, Laura, there while you're doing this?
Yeah.
See this hand? Put your hand up like this.
Okay, hang
The
on.
one that has the bruise on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just go and push your hair down like that.
Like that?
Push your hair down on the side.
Oh, like this? So you can see it?
And push your hair on the side of your head down.
Yeah.
Right from here.
Yeah.
And go backwards. No, that's it. You're on the right side.
Okay, go backwards like that. That's as far back as I
this
can go.
side. This side. No, you're the other side.
I was there.
Yeah. There you go.
That's what I, okay.
So it doesn't look like your hair that I roughed you up there before the show went on.
Yes, Michelle, you joined us late. So apparently somebody, we won't keep going on about this. We're going to end up spending the whole show on it. But somebody messaged our producer seeing the bruise on my arm and automatically jumped to the conclusion that Dell beats me, basically, and wanted to call into my show and make sure it was okay. So we were just talking about that. That's why we led into it would be so much easier nowadays if people would just remember, especially when it's a serious topic, and we got a lot of serious topics, to actually have a 2-minute conversation, whether it's over the phone, whether it's over video, just so you can clarify what was meant by saying an email or a text message.
Yeah, exactly. So did you have a good Canada Day? And the 4th of July was hotter than H here.
I'm just reading because Michelle said yesterday's Angel Rock was stopping and starting, letting me know. Thank you. I believe part of that was with my guest.
Myself.
What's that?
No, I just saw her messages. Control yourself, mate.
He didn't hit me, believe me. No, part of it was with Dr. Rima, and part of it may have been with mine. We have updated our internet, and we need to call them because we have not noticed any difference, have we, Del?
No, actually, it's actually slower. Going to fiber optic actually made everything slower, which is sort of weird, but who knows? That could be ISP problems there too.
But thank you for the feedback, Michelle. I appreciate it. So, no, so yes, we had July 4th, we had Canada's birthday, we had all this stuff there. That's why. So tell me, what made you decide instead of an actual recipe, you decided to go to a beach party?
Well, I thought it'd be sort of happy and sunny there, despite what happened there last night. But another part that I want to get into, because we were discussing this, and this might be a thing that'd be coming up there in the next little while there here on UPRN with me and Laura. We're still discussing what to do, and maybe anybody in the chat there can go and maybe give some suggestions as well. We were looking at other things about unsolved crimes and stuff like that. And this is the part I wanted to get into about
true
John
crime.
McAfee and stuff like that, but other things like that. You're looking about doing a makeup tutorial stuff
No,
there.
No. You're getting all off topic here. I did most of the research. So we're looking for a topic because Michelle, I do have a new show that is coming on Saturdays, starting at the end of the month. And Joe came up with the topic of out of the cage, referring to when he jokes that Canadian women keep their men in cages. I think it's a great idea. So I was looking for a topic that's more popular that we don't have a lot of on the network. And we're looking at possibly talking about true crime. But while we're talking about true crime, people can learn something. Like Del and I do prepping. We were even throwing around the idea of possibly doing some stage makeup, like if we're talking anything having to do with horror. We don't know why yet. We're throwing a lot of different ideas out there amongst ourselves, and I think it's going to be trial and error. We may come up with a signature drink or a signature recipe. There's going to be all kinds of really cool ideas. So it's not all firmed up yet. So that's why I wasn't ready quite to go there with all this. But
well, it was just, I guess the sort of thing is to meld two different ideas of my show and your show together, where we and then add in extra topics maybe and some sort of new stuff there, because we talked a lot about there too about prepping on back in the early days there too about being preparedness and stuff like that. And I think that's a really important thing to sort of look at. I think as I guess people don't look at this as they live in big cities and that, whereas people that live out more rurally, or like how we're not rural, we're in a city, but we're away from metropolis places, right? Like we're up in Northern Ontario. And you look at things like when power outages hit, and you look about when electricity goes out. And there's actually a really interesting show on YouTube you guys can check out. There's called Suspicious Observer, and he does it. I think it comes out like every day at 5 a.m. and he documents the sun and the magnetic stuff that's happening with the Earth. So solar flares, the magnetic, the poles moving, and also does a little bit about a history about that. And this could actually come into a big thing about there could be maybe a cataclysm that could be happening there. And if power goes out, because I went through a power outage back in Toronto, I think it was in 2002, 2001. It was right around the SARS thing. And Buffalo power grid went out, and we were out of power in the middle of summertime for 5 days. So everything in the fridge and the freezer was done in a day. And we're at like 35 degrees Celsius, which is almost over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And you have nothing to cook on except if you have propane for barbecue. But you couldn't get gas at the gas stations because the pumps didn't work because they were on electricity, and you couldn't get your propane tanks filled unless you had. There was a whole bunch of things like this. Is just certain things that you should be prepared about, right? Like you gotta. There's a lot of things in your home that what can you do for say this, and I give this a challenge to everybody there on the delicious recipe that's listening, is that what can you do for 2 days, maybe I'll go 24 hours without using electricity, that you could go and eat and drink and that. And this goes in with dealing with the toilet and dealing with the dishwasher, your stove, your microwave. What do you think you could do there?
well, I think what it is too, Del, anytime we've done a show, because before you run the network, I would have you on my show. And anytime we talked about prepping, it was very, very popular because a lot of people never thought about this. And I agree with you. We've talked about that we have a lot of skills amongst ourselves, amongst our age group, that is a dying art. For one thing, for example, I think the biggest challenge I would issue to people out there is try and start a fire without a lighter or matches. How many people do you think could do that? You will be amazed how difficult that actually is. Never mind the fact that, say, we've been trying to grow things. We don't know if most of the seeds have been tainted with GMO where we are or what. That's something else we're planning on because, especially living in Northwestern Ontario, we're about 6 hours away from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're not up in the Arctic. We're right smack dab right in the middle of Canada. But the problem is that most people don't know how to can food.
Yep.
Most people don't know how to, if you were hunting, to dress, say, an animal, preserve it, salt it, smoke it. These are things people aren't thinking about. But when you start, now we're going to get a little bit maybe into conspiracy theory. But if you look at it, for example, in the US, Bill Gates has bought most of the farmland. But why? Yes, there's your garden. So the thing, and my fairy stuff I've done. But the thing is, or say, and I'm sure you may see this depending where you live, when somebody's planted a garden, especially when it's zucchini or something that's very plentiful, they're trying to give it away. Well, instead of trying to give it away, or a lot of times invariably things may get wasted, if you knew how to can it, and if you know how to can it properly, it can stay invariably for years. I
Hmm.
have a friend from high school, very quickly, I was just going to add this, Del. He was talking about canning. They get a moose every year. And I'm going, what are you talking about? Bottled moose, he was calling it. And when he told me what he did with it and how he did it, that's how he preserves a whole animal, and it lasts invariably for quite a few years. He told me many of the variations he uses it with and why and how. But these are lost skills and arts that people don't think about or anything to that effect. And I agree, Del, that's a really good challenge to say to people, could you live without electricity? Or, like I said, even try and start a fire without matches or a lighter.
Yeah. Well, that part there too, that's good. But another part of it there is that we depend on technology and our phone and our computer so widely, and we've forgotten about books and binders that have papers in there. And this is another thing there. Even though this is using, I said beforehand, is that why not go and print off instruction stuff and make a binder of how to do something, how to recipes, how to pickle something, processes, how to do things, and put that all in your house. Put it, if you want to, laminate them, stick them in a binder, and just have them over there. Because I've gone through since 2000, since the Y2K thing, because there was no big Y2K thing, but I've gone through 4 power outages in through Canada, and where they've been extended. And I always have things that are over protective. I always have things that go in, like I always have propane, I always have things there to go and cook and stuff like that, and coolers and stuff like that. But the thing is always that a lot of people that live in metropolis areas, like it doesn't take much to just put like a cooler in your closet and put like a prepper bag inside there with special things like and we could talk about all the things you should have, just things like extra fire starters, cook pot, purification water tablets, uh,
Medication, medication,
medication.
good
Well,
herbs that you can use out in
yeah,
public that are, or I mean, out in nature that are indigenous to where you
yeah.
live, because people don't realize, because most of us haven't been through a power outage or start to think about the things. The other thing I suggest, like Venezuela, not too long, a couple of years ago, I believe it was, or it was, and Puerto Rico especially, have gone through extended power outages, and some people have been interviewed to ask what were people looking for, ready to basically kill somebody for. Obviously, things like food, because we don't think about that. We are actually 9 meals away from anarchy. Because you think about this, you've got small children, you haven't prepared for this, there's no food. What are you going to do to feed your children? So the thing is, they said what they were looking for, which was literally like bars of gold, were lighters. A lot of people drink alcohol for whatever reason, need it for pain control, whatever it may be. Alcohol was at a premium. Cigarettes, if you're a smoker and you have to quit cold turkey, toilet paper. These are things that aren't really expensive, but they're bargaining and bartering tools because you're not going to be using money. Water is the premium thing that you need, right,
Well,
Del?
yeah, well, that's I think those go to the supplementary stuff,
Hmm.
and I think that the part is that if you look through just even on what happens in the southern part of the U.S., where you have all these hurricanes and you have disaster stuff there, you just need something that's very quick and just has essential things that can probably get you through at least 3 to 5 days until you're able to move out to somewhere. But you need to have that for each person, right? So this is a part that a lot of I've watched a lot of these prepper shows. Says, yeah, I just need this one bag. Well, that's good for you. It's not good for the other 4 people in your family because you'd be done that in one day, right? So you need one for everybody there. But
Michelle
this,
wrote some funny comments. I need to share them.
okay,
She said, LOL, I struggle sometimes with a lighter and fire lighter, LOL. That she said, my family told me if we got stuck on an island, I was first on the menu. I'm fussy and my family likes pork. And then when I was talking about 5 meals away from anarchy, she said, hangry, meaning hungry and angry, sets in.
yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. Well, there's also a lot of simplistic things you can use, right? Like you don't need to have a whole dinnerware set with you. Like you can get a spork that has a knife on the end there too, right? So you have one utensil that does three things. Like one thing that I always keep around there, and this is the thing I collect knives, like little pocket knives, little everyday carry stuff. Like I just think they're great. And like, I think my grandfather gave me a knife when I was like 2 years old. I had a pocket knife from then, and I went through the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and that. And this was always used. And then you see now in the culture there today, like the Boy Scouts were basically almost phased out. I think in the '90s or whatever, that it was like thought it was like a very elitist or I guess whatever you would.
Sexist.
I want to say the thing there was people that did anything else that's really gay if you were in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts or whatever. It was like, oh, you were that sort of
It
way.
was frowned upon. Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Whereas, but there was a lot of skills that you could learn there, and basically, like the person that created the Boy Scouts, Lord Baden-Powell, from the stuff there, he was in the military, and that it was basically giving life skills and survival skills for young kids to learn at an early age. And a
Mhm.
lot of this stuff is all missed in schools there today. You have to look at what's been going on in the education system, even here in Canada, phasing out gym, phasing out music, phasing out shops, phasing out stuff that you could be productive that you're not being taught to and told a directive, right? Like we talked about this many times, say, Laura, like there's absolutes that are good, like math, science, chemistry.
Mhm.
Um, well, music is happiness and entrepreneurial and learns skills there too as well. But
Yeah.
then
Well,
when you
yeah.
get into things like English, well, you're being told, well, this is what they mean, or
It's subjective.
you get into history. This is what the history is, and
Mhm.
right, you have to reproduce it. You can't think any different than what it is. Social sciences and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So there's like the absolute stuff. What I think, anyways. You can disagree out there in the YouTube world and here on the delicious recipe. Whoever's listening there, I think just basic life skills and stuff like that. Like, how many people know how to cook? I actually was just talking with one of the girls that is working with me on night shift there, and she's never learned how to cook, and she's 42.
Wow.
She knows how to use a microwave, but she can't cook.
Mhm. But what people don't realize is, especially when you're working with younger children, that say you decide you could be making homemade Play-Doh, you could be making cookies. There's so many skills that go into learning when you're reading a recipe, especially like math skills. You're looking at fractions, you're looking at different amounts, you're looking at planning as well as doing things efficiently so that you're not spending an hour mixing something and the whole kitchen's a disaster. Like, don't get me wrong, that may happen in the beginning, but there's a whole bunch of skills in different parts of the brain that when we start with young children using this that we're losing, including the fact you and I've talked many times about this. My own children had this very young, that when you're playing sports that everybody's a winner. And then you get kids that when they graduate from high school and stuff, they're in absolute complete shock and disbelief because guess what, folks? The real world's not like that. Not everybody's a winner. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Life's not always fair. So when we pad life like that, and I think we take away a lot of these extracurriculars, whether you believe it's an extracurricular or not, it has so many benefits in so many areas. That concerns me. It really concerns me.
Well, yeah, what's the whole thing is about exercise, being healthy, and doing things like that. Like we've even noticed they're not going to about this pandemic year, there is that a lot of people about being non-active and being stuck at home, and they've been used to doing that because they never ever did anything else. And this was guessing that I talk about this many times here about how we've moved to these big city societies where everything is all there, where you
Mhm.
don't grow anything in your own place there. Like when I grew up, I go to my grandmother's house. She had a garden in her backyard, and I have to go over there for a day or two, digging up and turning the garden, and then later on doing whatever, weeding later on, and then pulling out potatoes and stuff like that. And she produced, and then there was days where we went and canned up, and I remember boiling all those jars, and then getting all that stuff ready and putting the carrots in there and peas, making relish, making tomato
Pickles.
sauces, making a whole bunch of stuff there, and that it would all go down in the cold cellar. And this
Mhm.
was our emergency food in case of something, and that's what it was. And but it was also great food to have during big, huge family occasions, right? Some of this stuff was like highly like making pickles and stuff like that. Like we'd have to go out outside of town here to Stanley. There was a spring, and we had to get spring water to make pickles out of. Right, there's certain little spots, but
Mhm.
this was all old world stuff. And then even before, even other aunts and uncles and stuff like that that still did that. And there's very few people that are even our age that still do this. I know Marty's sisters, I think they still do pickling and make relish. And
I can do it. I do
I
it.
remember my buddy there, Donnie, his wife there before she died, she'd make all this time that says corn relish. And I'd be like, oh, make sure you make me a big, huge jar of this stuff, because I'd use that for hamburgers and everything else. Was super great, right? But that was something that you would do, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a lost art. Like, I don't think people realize, like, when you need a loaf of bread, you just go to the store. How much goes into making an actual loaf of bread? And the thing I say to people all the time, I actually said it to my mother's own mother, my grandmother, was before she had dementia, just before she passed. She was in her mid 90s, but she had recipes. She was originally, her family originated from England, that she'd carried down from her family. And I said, we need to write these recipes down, because when she's gone, these recipes are gone. But my grandmother taught me how to knit. She taught me
Oh,
how
there's
to
another
make
good skill.
jam. What's that?
That's another good skill. Yeah, they just
Taught me how to knit. She taught me how to make jam. My mother taught me how to make pickles. My grandmother taught me how to make bread. And I wanted to learn, because I realized that even at a very young age, we weren't learning these skills. These were valuable skills that I would always have. And I've tried to pass some on to my children, but there's not the interest there. But the thing is it's so important to learn from our elders, and because our elders have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of stuff that they've come from the days of before the modern industrial revolution. Had a lot better health back then, a lot less chemicals. We can really learn a lot from our elders. And again, I think people think it's a conspiracy theory and don't realize how easily and without warning the power could actually go out, and what is controlled by the power and the internet, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And they keep on getting this talk about these Green Party global warmists and stuff like that. But this is the one part I was want to get back to. This suspicious observer. He's on YouTube there, and that categorizes there is other natural events and global events that are not being affected by just the power grid and stuff like that, that are natural forces that are actually happening out there that do affect the world a lot more than somebody else just flicking a switch. And if you look at it, there is that. I don't like the question is, this is what I pose to all the viewers out there, and maybe you can send out a message there next week and say how many people survived their 48 hours without electricity, or they had to actually walk to work, right? They had no car, or use their bicycle, or I don't know, cook with a fire in their backyard without using their stove or their oven and stuff like that. Put stuff in. How do you keep things cool when you don't have a freezer or a fridge? Like that's these are a lot of things. Like people that go camping, like because my family went camping all the time there, and everything was dependent on ice, right? And then if you didn't have ice, how do you keep things cool? Well, you got to dig a hole in the ground, right, and keep things cool, keep it shaded, and a lot of different things. There's this. I know it's an interesting topic, but this might be one of the things that we might delve into as we go and do our show together on. I think I believe it's going to be on a Saturday, correct, there, Laura? Perhaps.
Yeah, when I was talking to Joe about it, it's going to be on a Saturday. Joe our owner and producer of UPRN, does a fantastic show called The Gray Zone Uncensored with Michelle DeRoche on Friday afternoons. I believe it's 5 p.m. Central. So I think that is where it's standing right now. Things are like just still developing. So if you guys have some ideas or things you want to see, by all means, feel free to let us know. You guys are the supporters of our network, and of course we want to make you guys happy and have you tune in. And with it being an afternoon, people, depending where you are, most people aren't working unless you're working shift work or what have you. You may be enjoying the outdoors or whatever. What's some of the things that you'd like to see or hear? Or because the reason, what got me thinking, I'll never copy somebody, but there is a girl out there, when I seen what she was doing, I thought, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. She reviews a lot of odd things in news, sometimes unsolved crimes. It could be whatever. And the only reason we were thinking unsolved crime, I was really doing a lot of research into seeing what the areas of interest are for people in 2021. Anyways, what she's done is she's a makeup artist. Now, she never tells people what she's doing, but she just comes on camera. She's quite a character, actually. She's quite funny. She has no makeup on. By the end of her story, she's in a full face of makeup. But the beautiful thing is people are learning things. They've got something visual to watch as well as an interesting story. I've seen other people do this where they're teaching a skill. Like Michelle, you mentioned about Organite in the comments, and I am making Organite. I have had, you would not believe the amount of people asking me, how do we work with resin? Or like Dell has a lot of skills. And it's going to be a little bit of trial and error, but I think it would be kind of cool while you're listening to us speak and share the topics. And it's going to evolve a bit, but maybe we even be able to watch or learn a new skill as we're speaking. So we're kind of working on some different ideas. We're hoping,
getting a little bit outdoors, maybe.
we're hoping to come up with some interesting ideas that we've had people asking about t-shirts. I am working on that behind the scenes. We do have a store with one of the t-shirt places, but we're going to see if we can find something. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of exciting new things that we're all working on with the station, always to make it better, always to help it grow, and always to make you guys happy who support us and watch our shows all the time. So, and we really, really do appreciate you.
That's correct. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that could be happening there later on. We'll see how it goes. And what do we got here? We're almost at our time there, Lorilei. You just want to mention to everybody where they can find you and what's going on with you?
Yes, you can find me on Monday nights here on United Public Radio with, I almost said the delicious recipe, with the Angel Rock. That is from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. This coming Monday, I have a fellow tribunal judge who is also a podcaster, very well spoken, very intelligent. He's from Australia, originally from the UK. His name is Jimothy Murphy. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things that will be very interesting, what's going on in the world. You also, if you ever want to book a healing session with me, mentoring, psychic medium reading, or anything in the way of Akashic records, anything to do with that area, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. I also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and then the Angel Rock for more esoteric, power of positivity, power of the mind, chakras, how to open your third eye. That's where you can find that in the Angel Rocker tribe. And as always, thank you for having me here, Dal.
That's true. And thank you very much for being back here again there, even though I didn't have to ask you to come from too far away.
Yes.
But,
back up.
But this has been the delicious recipe, and we'll see you all next week on a Tuesday. I got to get ready to go off to work there tonight. So,
while we're waiting for Joe, you forgot to tell people to write you at the delicious stories at gmail.com.
There you go. That's why I have you as a secretary.
Yes.
Keep on going.
If you've got stories of the strange, the unknown, anything like that, right? Cryptid, Bigfoot, whatever experiences, right, Del? And you're hoping to share them when you have enough of them?
That's true. Yep. I'm sort of I'm going in between the switchover of nights and days there, so I'm forgetting everything that's going on there. Yeah, the delicious stories at gmail.com. And I've gotten a couple there, so I don't have enough yet to go and do a whole show yet, but I'm just hoping that people out there can add in there a little bit more. And I know Varla was talking about something about sending some people over that direction there too as well. So once I get enough of those stories there, I'll do a whole show of reading out interesting stories that people have had about their experiences of the weird, the paranormal, just even sort of just weird experiences. I mean, that's the sort of the interesting. It could be paranormal too, but it could be anything. Walking into a Bigfoot in their backyard, going out camping, anything like that. All things, doesn't matter.
Oh, Michelle wants me to show you the Believe Facebook Yowie page. I don't think I know about that, Michelle. If you get a chance, send me the link, please, in Messenger, and I will share it with them. Yeah, but if they're like, it's anything strange, unknown, unusual, and then yeah, we always forget to mention it, so we're waiting for Joe anyways. So
Yeah.
so we thought we'd mention. Thanks for being here, Michelle. We really
Oh
appreciate
yes. It. Yeah. Thank you, everybody that was in the chat. I think it's all Michelle Pratt.
So, well, on the YouTube chat, but we do have other people listening live around the world. So thank you very much for your support. If you're listening on the archive, we really appreciate you. Make sure to share UPRN with all your friends, because there's something for everybody there always, depending on what program you decide to watch or what night. But there's always interesting, really fantastic programming and hosts here.
That's right. And if you're listening on audio there, appreciate you all listening to that too as well. That's great to have you here.
So now we're waiting for Joe. We'll know he's there because he goes and comments on all the Facebook pages. That's my hint now. Before, when we were on Skype, you could see him moving things. Now you can see when he comments over there. Oh, she sent it already. Good, Michelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you had quite the funny comments tonight. Thank you. She wrote down the suspicious observer in the chat. So,
oh, that's good. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's good that she did, so people can see that.
Yeah, because I'm sort of was a little bit limited there tonight. I sort of missing one device there where I could have uploaded that or put that on there. So that's good.
Yes, the iPad decided to say it was full for some reason.
Yes.
Why?
I guess he didn't do any protection there today. He stopped before the show started. Hey, you
yes,
me?
I made
you,
him.
Me.
Actually, he has an electric guitar coming. I got a resin mold for an electric guitar. I just have to paint the details. So let's see. We got two. Let's see. Oh, she said she's been following the gentleman with the Yowie page for years. So she's sending it. Yes, because the Yowie's from Australia. So that's interesting to hear, because the swamp ape is where Joe is, down in the south in the US. Believe it or not, there's a misnomer that the Indigenous people of Canada have quite a few encounters with Sasquatch, but they don't, do they, Del?
No, it's mostly with little people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little people. So, and they're shapeshifters and they're tricksters and everything like that. You could almost think of them if you went into the Marvel universe. Could it be like Loki, or this shapeshifter trickster person, right? And there's many names, and it's an interesting sort of phenomenon. So, who knows what they are?
Michelle said she's been following the suspicious observer for years. I must book the other page, so she does follow it. She said he's amazing.
Yeah, there was just I think a week or two ago, he did an hour and 20 long minute of end of day cataclysm that could happen with a major solar flare. As our solar system is moving across the universe, we're coming into a dust cloud area. And if a large solar flare happens, it could cause a major mini sort of solar flare EMP attack on our electromagnetic field. As our north and south poles are shifting more and more and more. We're going through this sort of shift, and if everything sort of happens at the same time, it's almost like bowling the perfect strike, the 300 game. If all these things come all into fruition, it could actually be a major part that there is no electricity on the earth, And other than that, there we're looking at being at square one, where you can get a whole bunch of things there. It's a very interesting documentary. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is something to actually consider. That's why I always say, always be prepared. That was the Boy Scout motto. Dib, 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 dob, 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 be prepared, right?
Yes, I just messaged Joe because he probably let us go a little longer because we were just a few minutes late. So I'd let him know. So you might see us all of a sudden disappear because he'll show up. So
I'm
there he
here,
is. I see
people.
him. There he is.
Okay.
I'm here. I was just listening to y'all. So y'all are a little short. You're still like 2 minutes short.
Are
It's,
we?
Okay, and then say there to all the people out there, get some sunshine, get some vitamin D, be healthy, get some exercise.
Yes.
Yes, and if you can't get vitamin D, take some pills.
No.
Take some. Dell's going to supply some delicious recipe pills.
Well,
I don't know what's in them.
Ted, you might let us go a little
Some
longer.
green peppers and oranges.
That's vitamin C.
Okay, let's see. Clip and clip.